Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of HERspace Unscripted. We are here for our second episode of our Pivot with Purpose winners, and today we have our winner, Monica Gallegos. Welcome, Ms. Monica.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So when I read your story, I felt so inspired, but I also felt like so many people they don't talk about a lot of the things that you finally are in a space where you feel like maybe you should make it okay to talk about some of the things, right? And so share with me a little bit about where you applied for Pivot with Purpose and where you're at.
I applied for the Pivot with Purpose because I feel like I'm going through like this transition. I'm a mom of two kids, actually young adults, and I feel like they're both ready to spread their wings and adventure in the real world. And then like now that I'm not like having to chauffeur them around and snacks and sports and stuff like that, I feel like, okay, well, who am I now? What am I doing? Where do I go from here? I love being a mom, but like there comes a point when they just don't need you as much like they did when they were younger. So yeah, so I'm feeling a little lost these days, but
So we talked to that was our first Pivot with Purpose winner was very similar. She was starting to transition in this space of like, oh, now I have to have a life for myself. Like, what the hell? Right? Like, what does that even look like? How does that even? But I think what makes you guys very different and unique is the story that brought you into this space and what you want to do with your pivot. So share that a little bit, maybe some of your history that has brought you to the pivot that you're trying to make where, you're going to share your story.
So a little bit about my background. I grew up in foster care. Not many people know that about me. That's something I've always kind of been ashamed of. And I don't know if it was just the culture that it was in the time that I grew up, that we just didn't speak of hardships really. Like we didn't ever really get like a platform or space kind of like this to share stories of hardships. It was always just put on a happy face and move on. And so I grew up from like age 5 till I aged out, and my whole identity was survival. Like just try to make it to the next day, try to make it to the next crisis even. And kind of had just been living my life like that up until just recently, where I found, more of a stable environment for myself. I mean, the kids are, we're stable with my kids and in where they're growing up. And
so you went from being in the foster system, aging out of the foster system, and then really devoting your life to your kids.
yes.
So you have two babies
Mm-hmm.
that aren't so baby no more,
know,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Your little baby is about to graduate high school, and so yeah, so you had that where like you said, like it was always kind of survival, like it was survival, foster survival, and then it was I'm a mom of small kids trying to make it in this world, survival. And now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, so now I'm just like, okay, now I have this opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit. And I keep finding myself, well, who am I? What am I doing? And ultimately, I want to open up and share my story, because when I start reflecting back, I start thinking like, we didn't have these discussions. So if I had an opportunity to have this discussion, with children, like teenage children in foster care, or even like preteens in foster care, where they're still trying to figure out like, who am I? Is it okay? Is it safe? Like, it's okay to share your story, and be confident in who you are and what you're doing. But there's also other people that can relate. Like, you're not alone. Like, ultimately, I just want people who are experiencing, like children, I want to say women mostly, because but then I also know that there's young men out there that can, just kind of need a word of advice that their life isn't over. This doesn't make them them.
Yeah. Is that how you felt for like the longest time? Is that like it was like it defined you. Like it
It
just
did. And
was.
that's why I didn't share it. So never shared my story ultimately because I was ashamed. Um, I kind of like just had superficial conversations with people. Never really opened up, like when they would ask you, how are you? Like, where's your mom? Like, what are you guys doing for holidays or something? It was just like, oh, we're good, like fine. Never really opened up because I didn't want to expose myself really for either pity or judgment. Like I didn't want them to judge me like, oh, she grew up in foster care, she's not a good person, or she has problems or something, stereotypes that people label other people with just from their experiences, different experiences. But
Yeah, because foster care, people think a problem kid, or, oh, because you didn't grow up in a stable home, you probably have problems. And, which, like, it's really fucked up. I mean, I can't say it in any other way. But I can see why, like, you were hesitant. So what's changed? What's different now?
I feel like I've had a chance to slow down a little bit, but um, I had somebody who kind of had a guidance reach out to me. So I had a social worker who I guess I left an impact on her career. Found me on Facebook,
So a
and
social worker that was your social worker, like when you were
yes,
a
when I
kid.
was a teenager,
Okay.
actually. So um, I think she was my social worker from like age 14 until 19 when I aged out.
Okay. So for a little one.
Yeah, and I was shocked when she reached out to me, but then when we had a few conversations, shared a few messages on Facebook, then actually had conversations, and I didn't realize like I had an impact on her career. I always felt like I was a badass kid. Like I was making this lady work. Like I was like
Giving her a run for her money.
I was telling her what, yeah, definitely. I was telling her like what I wanted, like, you're going to do this for me if you want me to do that for you, kind of thing. And we laughed about this on two different occasions on our conversation because when you're in foster care and a teenager, there's not very many foster homes that want to take care of teenage children. And I hadn't ever experienced like a group home or anything, but I was like transitioning from one foster home to another in my teenage years, around 16 years old. And she was trying to put me in a group home. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing a group home. Like, I'm not going there. Yeah. And so I told her, you either help me get emancipated or you're going to have to report to the state of New Mexico where I'm at because like I'm not going to a group home. And, she's like, okay, wait, work with me a little bit. And, long story short, she ended up getting me emancipated, helping me get an apartment and stuff. And I kind of made her keeping a watch on me very easy after that. Like went to all my appointments with her, she'd come to my apartment, check out I was safe and stuff like that. But she said that that's one of the things that she remembers about me is just I was so strong-willed in what I wanted and I didn't want to be grouped up with, I'm going to label these foster kids, but as trouble kids, you know what I mean? Because I knew I wasn't a trouble kid. I just didn't have a family like at the time. My parents weren't involved in my life. So yeah, but
Yeah. And so you realized how valuable it really was to have the lived experience that you had because someone that you once was like, she took care of me. I was, in fact, helping her.
yeah.
Like, I mean, that's kind of ironic, but in a way that's like, has to feel good.
Yeah. I mean, at the time I knew I was being a little brat. Like I was I labeled myself as bratty. I was being bratty with her. Like, no, you do this for me. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, I feel like I knew where I was going. Like since I was little, I knew I wasn't going to follow in those footsteps. I don't know what it was, just like an intuition maybe. Um, I just knew I was going to break the chain, the my mom's upbringing, of my upbringing. If God ever blessed me with the children, I knew I wasn't going to follow in those same footsteps. And I stood firm on that. Like, I remember since like I was probably 8 or 9, like praying that God would make me a baby and that make me a mother, and that I wouldn't promise him that I wasn't ever going to follow in those footsteps. And it's so crazy because when you're 8 years old, you should be thinking about like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And those were never my thoughts. It was like who I don't want to be like. And so that was always just my drive, I think, that got me through foster care and growing up out of the system. And with teenagers, we all have these attitudes and stuff, but like I was never in trouble. Didn't really like, I never,
you were hard-headed,
yeah,
but
yeah. I was probably, my words. I feel like I was just let them fly off without anything, thinking of any repercussions or anything, but just straight up say.
So you were a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, damn kids, man. No, but yeah. So now you're in this space where someone is telling you that, you know, just your story and you as a kid, like, helped them. And she asked you to help others, right?
Yeah, she's putting together a panel, and she would want me to speak with other people and like other children. I want to say children, but like I feel like she manages more of like teenagers, but they are still we are still children at teenage years. But yeah, so she's putting a panel together, wants me to kind of give like an inspirational talk and let them know like you can still go on to live a good life even from your past experiences, your upbringing. That doesn't determine who you are or what you're going to be when you grow up, and that you can still be.
Life isn't over.
Yeah,
even when
life
it feels
isn't
like
over.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, life isn't over, and you can go out and make a difference in the world. And I guess I had never really thought of that until she reached out to me, and I was like, oh wow, like yes, I guess my story. I should share my story. And
you're
be
like,
proud of
I'm a success story. Like, what?
This is something I could be proud of. Like,
yeah. But let me say that again. You're a success story.
That still is shocking to me because I'm like, I guess I don't see it like that. I mean, and the more I open up about it, people are like, oh my gosh, like just looking at you, we would have never known you were in foster care. And I'm like, okay, good. That was my goal. Like I never wanted me to be labeled or looked upon that she grew up in foster care. Like, so like I've always just carried myself in a manner like that, always well put together. And again, it's probably, my trauma, the trauma that comes back out in me, and making sure, everything's perfect and we're calm and put together and stuff like that. But yeah, I never really, I'm still trying to accept the part that I am a success story, that I did overcome something.
That's something, a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because you keep saying foster care, but there's so much to that, right? Like there's trauma, there's the loss of your mother, there's so much that it was included in what we're just blanketing as foster care. But you really have survived so much that the world would be understanding if you were really fucked up right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
we all hear about those horror stories.
Yeah.
And, CYFD on the news, the abuse, not only with reunification, but with your birth parents, but also just with foster homes. Like, just because you're going to a foster home doesn't mean it's a stable environment. All those horror stories that you hear about, like, I lived those. I don't want to like bring up every little
we
thing.
don't need to, but the point I'm making is like we're blanketing like foster care, but the truth is, if you were to go into detail of your story, right?
Yeah.
Like if we were to put out some detail to the word foster care, everyone would be like, she could be completely fucked up right now, and I would be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I would be too, but somehow you navigated it in a way that you're an amazing woman. You've raised 2 amazing children. And I love to say that because, your kids are both one's in college, about to graduate.
Yes.
Engineering degree.
Engineering.
Okay,
double,
so
yeah.
let's throw that not just graduate, but we're talking engineer
Yes.
graduate.
Yes.
Your other son has a whole ass business already and has had one for many years. I mean, making grown people money in high school with his own entrepreneurship business.
Yeah.
And that catapulted him to being accepted into Ole Miss.
Yes. Yeah.
When you were young, did you even know what the fuck Ole Miss was?
No. Yeah.
And now you raise kids that he has such an opportunity in life and was so well loved and so well taken care of that he's about to leave. He's about to go experience a life that the foster care you could have never imagined was possible.
Yeah. I mean, I never even imagined college, you know what I mean? And so to know both my kids are, stepping out into the world, headed to college, graduating from college, is just 2 steps ahead of me, like, 2 or 3, even 10 leaps ahead of me. They are. And that just makes me, like, when I look at success stories, I know I gave everything to my children, like my entire 20, 30 years growing up or of my life to my children. And honestly, I didn't do anything extraordinary with them. I provided them stability, everything I didn't have, stability, love,
opportunities to believe
opportunities, and just that support that parents provide their children, and look where they are, you know what I mean? So,
but I think again, it comes back to you finding a way to give them that when you didn't even know what that looked like.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to freaking parent. Like I had some amazing parents, right? Like I had some great parents. I got to see, that people that loved me and showed up for me and all the things that we do for our kids, right? Like I got to see that role modeled for me. And so I'm like, if I was a really shitty parent, like I'd be real, like I had no excuse, right? But you had to find a way to know what that looked like to even do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to describe it. And I guess I really haven't done too much thinking into that because I want to say it came naturally. Like I knew, again, since an early age, I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I don't know if it's just the way I was.
You became the mom you needed.
Exactly. I knew what I needed and what I lacked, that I was going to give that to my children. And so although I didn't have a role model or any guidance on how to be a mom or anybody to look up to about how to be a mom, it was more of like, what did I need? Let me be that person that I needed for my children. Let me, help them with homework or comb their hair.
Yeah, and you had a lot of people show you what you didn't want to be.
Exactly. I had a whole list of people I didn't want to be like. My own birth parents, even foster parents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So now we'll circle back kind of to our pivot.
Okay.
Because with that all being said, now you're in a space where it's like, okay, empty nester almost.
Yes.
Like you said, I've dedicated all this time to just really making sure my kids had the mom I never had. So we never really had time to be Monica.
Right. I really feel like I'm in a loss with my identity right now. More as like I've always been labeled. Can I say their names?
Yeah.
Like I've always just been Elena and Gavin's mom. Like, and I don't know who Monica is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you've always, that's been your identity. So now here we are in this space where we get to pivot into something different. And so your pivot, we talked about, you want to go to school to really start becoming a good speaker and really start maybe even becoming that mentor to kids that needed it when you didn't have it. So I'm kind of thinking full circle here because you just said, like, I was the mom that I always needed. That was your identity for the past, how old's the baby? 23?
Mm-hmm.
For the past 23 years, right? You focused your entire everything on being the mom you needed. And so it kind of is a little like, because now you're thinking about being the mentor you needed to other kids.
Yeah.
So it's still kind of, so you do kind of know who you are. It's someone who wants to make sure that the kid that you were isn't alone.
Yeah. That's going to make me emotional because growing up in foster care, you feel like you are alone. And so, like, I love my children, did everything for them. And now I want to do stuff for others. And it's just always been my nature, in who I am, caregiving, providing, loving others, and just showing up for other people. And so given an opportunity, that was brought forward to me about sharing my story and helping others, I definitely want to run with it. Because this is my first time speaking about my upbringing and, a little bit about myself from the past outside of Elena and Gavin's mom. I'm at a loss for words. So when the opportunity arose for your Pivot with Purpose scholarship, I was like, oh, this could mean I can, take a public speaking class or, work on my self-confidence and being able to stand up there and be proud of myself. Like, because I think that's one of the things I need the most is to be proud of myself. Like, I'm proud of my kids, proud of, the life that I've built, from ground up, basically. And then would fall back down and then build back up. And I'm proud of that, but I never really am proud of myself. I need to work on myself to be able to provide a positive way of telling people that it's okay to grow up in foster care and you can be somebody you're proud of.
Yeah. So in order to feel confident in saying that, you first have to feel confident in yourself.
In myself,
to believe that.
Well, and
that
I can share my story without stopping my words. Like, I can feel confident in sharing my story that I'm proud of this story. I'm proud that I overcome and am a success story. But I need to understand that. And I feel like taking like a public speaking class or even just,
shit, even some therapy, girl. Like, I'm the queen of therapy.
Right,
I'm like, everybody go to therapy.
Yeah.
No, because the truth is, you're going to have to, if you want anybody to believe that they can be confident in themselves and not have to feel that way, you actually have to believe it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say, like, because, it's like, you're turning exactly where you want to be. You just want to make sure that you show up for them in the way that they need it. They need it, right? And that comes with some self, reflection. That comes with some self-investment. That comes, because I think for if just reading your story and kind of what you put on paper, that really is something that you've never had the opportunity to do is heal yourself. Heal yourself, grow yourself, invest in yourself.
Yeah. And so, when I did put it all on paper, that was very emotional for me. I think it took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, but not because the questions were hard. It was more of like reliving these experiences that I've just kind of carried quietly with me for several decades, really. And so putting it all on paper and just trying to reflect on what we would talk about in this podcast was very hard for me because I just had never dug deep like that. Like, I never had an opportunity where I could actually sit down and dig deep into these feelings.
Or even a reason. right? Like,
Exactly.
you're like, I never had a reason to actually like sit there and have to look at these questions and then answer them.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, because when people ask me, like out on the streets or even, work or just casual, when you see family again, like, oh, how are you? We're good, we're fine. Like,
that's always the answer,
it's
right? Even
always
if it
been,
ain't the
it's
truth.
always been superficial. And, I'm just like, one of my things is if I'm not fine, I don't look people in the eyes, like, because I'm afraid that they're going to see like exactly how I'm feeling internally. And they're not going to understand like, oh yeah, we're happy, we're fine, kind of thing. And so I think that's the hardest part for me is being able to be confident in sharing things like real world things. Like, parenting isn't easy. It's hard. Your teenage children are going to probably break your heart, you know what I mean? And you still have to show up for them and and so that's stuff that I want to be able to share. Those are experiences that I want to remind people, because I don't get to hear that part of motherhood. The feeling you get when your first child leaves the house, like, okay, I've raised this child for 19 years and now all of a sudden I don't know if she even went to bed at her bedtime, and then so I didn't know what to expect going into that, when my daughter first went to college. And then now with my son, it's like, okay, well, he is going to college and I know what that feels like, but then I don't have any children at home now. So I don't know how to navigate that and yeah.
Well, and
so
where do you invest all the time and effort and energy that you've put into your kids for all these years?
yeah.
Now that they're not there.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like I'm lost, like, because I'm like, am I forgetting something?
There is entirely too much time in the day.
Yeah.
Like, what? I've never felt this way before.
What am I doing at home for? Doing nothing for?
Yeah. No, it's ironic how the days when you're doing it, it doesn't seem like there's that much time, and there's not. But the second you get the minute to slow down, probably for the first time in your life, to slow down.
It is, yes.
It's like, well, damn.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
And I think like this was like the perfect opportunity for all of this to come together, because I lost my job earlier in June of this year, and like when my children were growing up, I was always a working mom. So it was work, take care of the kids, nighttime routine, then back to work. And so it was just constant. Like I was always constantly doing other things to keep myself busy. Never really had a time to like that stood still that I can actually. So I feel like this is perfect timing for me to transition or pivot into a new direction in either a different career and being able to share my story.
Yeah. Yeah. So this time really has given you a chance to kind of reflect on that, right? Like what is my story?
Yeah. Who am I now?
Who am I?
Yeah. What's
Who
my
do
purpose?
Yeah. Who do I get to be?
Exactly.
Is that exciting?
It is. It's scary, but it's exciting because now I can I don't have to just be labeled as a mom. Like I can, be somebody my kids can talk more about me than other than that's my mom. Like, I feel like yeah.
Yeah. So it's scary, obviously. I think any pivot is. I think if you're living life right, you're supposed to be scared when you pivot in any direction, right? Because that means you're growing and you're doing something different.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for you too.
Thank you.
Because I think this gets to be a chapter that is your own. And I think because you've experienced so much as a kid, like you really didn't even have a chance to be a kid, right? So that you can't even say that, like, oh yeah, I used to do a lot of shit for me before I was a mom, right? Because like you had to literally go from being, taking care of yourself, really. Trying to navigate the foster care system to literally taking care of yourself at 16 years old, working, doing all of those things. Like, there's never been an opportunity like this for you.
Yeah, no, I've never put myself first. And I know that sounds crazy because we're teaching, we're teaching nowadays, like society nowadays is put yourself first. And I tell my kids too, put yourself first, invest in yourself first. That's one thing you can do for yourself that nobody else can do is take care of yourself. And so I'm now needing to learn to take care of myself.
You're like, I have to practice
Yeah.
what I preach, and the shit ain't that easy.
I know.
But how exciting that is for our kids, because it is easy for them.
Yes.
Because we have taught them that.
Yeah.
They don't have to learn this shit. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to go forward with that being the normal. They're not going to have to feel like us, where it's like the guilt, or like the lost feeling, or the, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how exciting for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way you put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the next year look like for you? What does the next 2 years look like for you? Like, if you could, just say, in 2 years, I would like to see myself here.
It's hard for me because, again, I don't really think about myself. But I hope that in 2 years I'm thriving in feeling a purpose, that I'm making a difference in children that are struggling with their identity, if they belong in the world, helping them find a purpose, even mentoring. And if it doesn't always have to be with foster children, it could just be with, children in the high school that just need, like a big sister or a mentor, or somebody to let them know it's okay to have these feelings and you're going to be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so exciting. I'm so excited for you.
Thank
Congratulations again.
Thank you for giving me the confidence to share in this space, unscripted. So
Yes. No, I am so thankful you did your application, but that you came in this space, because I know that this is even harder than deep diving on paper, to have to sit here in this space. So I thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching. And we're just so excited. These Pivot with Purpose stories are exactly who we want to talk to, and who we want to be around, because women supporting women, doing amazing shit in life, making pivots even when they're scary, it's the best part of my life. So I'm so thankful
thank you.
that you allowed me to be a part of your story, and we'll see you next time.